Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about an easy and important lesson that you will use its structure while you are talking. Let's start. Our lesson is about tag questions. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to, number 1, make tag questions using auxiliary verbs and modal verbs. Number 2, answer tag questions correctly. Let's go to the questions in our lesson. In our lesson, we are going to answer the following questions. Question number 1, what are tag questions? Why do we use them? Number 2, how do we form tag questions? Number 3, how do we answer tag questions? So, let's start with our first question. Our first questions. What are tag questions? Okay, tag questions are used at the end of the statements while speaking. Why? In order to. We use it in order to. Number 1, comment on something. Number 2, ask for more information. Number 3, check information you know or believe to be true. Is that right? Or do you agree? Be careful that tag questions are common in speaking rather than writing. So now let's talk about forming these tag questions. Let's start. How to form tag questions? Here we will talk about forming tag questions with statements that have an auxiliary. Let's start. Example number 1. I don't need to finish this today. Okay, if you look at this sentence, you will find that don't is an auxiliary. So, we will use it today to form a tag question. Don't. Is it positive or negative? It is negative. I have not. Since it is negative, I will use it in a positive way. I will delete not. So, my tag question here will be do I. I use the same pronoun from the statement. Number 2, James is working on that. Where's the auxiliary? It's is. Is it positive or negative? Yes, it is positive. So, the tag question will be, isn't he? Why did I use he? Since I'm talking about James here. Yes. Let's continue. Number 3, your parents have retired. Here, the auxiliary is positive, so the tag will be negative. Haven't they? I use they since I'm talking about your parents. Number 4, the phone didn't ring. The auxiliary is didn't and it's negative. So, my tag question should be positive. Did it? Let's continue. It was raining that day. Wasn't it? Number 6. Your mom hadn't met him before. Had she? Is that clear? So, let's conclude the rule. To conclude, the basic structure of a tag question is, be careful. If you have a positive statement, you will have a negative tag. Positive, negative, negative, positive. So, example, snow is white. Is positive. So, I need a negative tag. It will be, isn't it? But if I have a negative statement like, you don't like me, I should use a positive tag and it will be do you. So, if you have positive statement, you will have negative tag. If you have negative statement, you will have positive tag. Is that clear? So, examples here. In those examples, you will have modal verbs. Number 1, they could hear me. The verb here is could and it's modal verb. I will use it in a negative tag and it will be couldn't they. Number 2, you won't tell anyone, will you? This is all about this. So let's continue. Let's practice using negative tags here. The statements that I have here are positive. Number 1, she is Italian. Then the tag is isn't she. Number 2, we are working tomorrow, aren't we? It was cold yesterday, wasn't it? We were waiting at the station, weren't we? They have been to Japan, haven't they? She has been studying a lot recently, hasn't she? He had forgotten his wallet, hadn't he? She will come at 6, won't she? And he can help, can't he? John must stay, mustn't he? So now, let's talk about another thing. Negative statement with positive tags. We have examples here. We aren't late. The verb here is negative, so the tag should be positive. Are we? Then she doesn't have any children, does she? The bus isn't coming, is it? Because I'm talking about the bus. She wasn't at home yesterday, was she? I used the same pronoun. They didn't go out last Sunday, did they? He hasn't been running in this weather, has he? We hadn't been to London before, had we? They won't be late, will they? She can't speak Arabic, can she? They mustn't come early, must they? That's all about negative statement. Now, let's talk about answering tag questions. We usually answer with yes or no. Use the same auxiliary, modal verb, or do, does, or did to reply. For example, your holidays were really relaxing, weren't they? And the answer, yes, they were. We really enjoyed them.